Shocking truth, the little girl who chose her daddy at midnight. You won't believe what happened. The clock struck 12. The room was cloaked in shadows, a thick stillness that seemed to hold its breath. That's when the unexpected happened. A little girl, no older than 6, wandered into her father's room, her big brown eyes wide with something fear? Curiosity? Maybe a mix of both. The kind of moment that makes your heart pound, knowing that something, just something, feels deeply wrong. Clad in a white nightgown, she looked like a ghost, a flickering candle in the darkness. The air felt electric brittle, like the calm before a storm. She said just one word, "Daddy." A single word that pierced through the silence with an intensity that left everyone in the house shivering with unease. There was more to this. It was not an ordinary midnight visit. It was the kind of encounter that leaves you breathless and wondering, what just happened? The little girl didn't look scared, at least not in the way you would expect. No tears, no shivers, just an oddly serene expression as if she were an agent on a mission. But what was her mission? The father, Dave, felt an icy claw wrap around his chest. He sat up straight, heart racing, eyes narrowing. Was she dreaming, or was this real? Was she merely sleepwalking, or was she crossing into something deeper, something sinister? People in the nearby rooms felt the tension ripple through the air, whispers buzzing like angry bees. "What's going on?" murmured Linda, his wife. Her voice barely broke through the stillness, but it held a quivering edge that spoke volumes. They could hear her soft footsteps padding on the floor, a sound that lingered longer than it should have, stretching out like an elastic band ready to snap. Just as Dave opened his mouth to respond, a loud bang echoed from outside, a startling interruption that seemed to come from nowhere, shaking the very frame of the house. The girl turned her head slightly, a hint of mischief dancing across her features. "They're coming," she whispered, and the night air chilled further, pressing against them like the weight of 1,000 nightmares. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The words hung in the air, heavy with untold meaning. Who was coming? The shadows seemed to shift around her, and he could almost hear the heartbeat of the world pulsing faster. It was the kind of moment that gnawed at his gut, leaving a tangled mess of unease in its wake. In those frozen seconds, anything felt possible. The line between reality and nightmare blurred, and the curious child seemed to know more than she should. Dave grabbed her small hand, the warmth of it grounding yet confusing. "What do you mean, honey?" he demanded, desperation creeping into his voice. But she just smiled, a smile that felt like a secret, and the unsettling certainty crashed over him. At that moment, in the heart of a haunted midnight, the truth felt hidden, waiting just beyond their grasp. And he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. What lay ahead? The walls felt like they were closing in, shadows stretching longer as if they were alive, ready to swallow them whole. Dave's grip tightened around the girl's hand, its warmth an anchor amid the chilling uncertainty. "Sweetheart, please tell me what you mean by that." His voice trembled, betraying the calm he was desperately trying to maintain. She tilted her head, and her gaze drifted toward the window, where the night had woven a fabric of darkness, impenetrable and thick. "They know they've always known. It's why I came." Her voice was a thread, delicate yet laden with weight, unraveling a mystery that hung over them like fog. The thunderous sound of footsteps crunched against gravel outside, breaking the fragile stillness. They echoed like gunshots, sharp and relentless, sending ice through Dave's veins. "Who knows?" he pressed, battling the rising tide of dread. Linda appeared in the doorway, her face pale, eyes wide, reflecting fear and confusion. "What's happening?" Dave forced himself to look at Linda. "Our daughter, she's daddy." The girl interrupted, an urgency rising in her tone. "Just listen." She pulled at his hand, leading him closer, her small body suddenly tense, vibrating with anticipation. A loud crash reverberated through the air, followed by an eerie silence that seemed to amplify the fear thrumming in his chest. "What was that?" Linda whispered, but her words faded into the void around them. "Shoo!" the child hissed, her eyes darting to the window again. "They're coming for us." A chill ran down Dave's spine as he sensed a presence outside. He turned slowly, heart hammering like a war drum against his ribs. Every instinct told him to check the window, but dread held him back. Was he ready to confront whatever lay beyond that glass? Then, from the depths of the night, came a soft whispering, a cacophony of voices rising and falling like a tide. They spoke in hushed tones, indecipherable and sinister, drawing closer. Just as Dave felt his stomach twist in and out of sheer terror, the girl let go of his hand and wobbled toward the window, her movements fluid yet unnaturally graceful, wide eyes fixed on something just out of sight. "No!" Dave lunged toward her, but it was too late. Her little fingers gripped the curtain, pulling it back ever so slightly. A sliver of moonlight pierced the dark room, revealing the girl's face illuminated in an otherworldly glow. Dave's heart skipped a beat as he saw a shadow flicker outside, elongated and grotesque. It moved with a purpose, creeping closer, and just beneath the surface of its obscurity, he sensed a familiar shape, one he hadn't seen in years, one that echoed his own past. Memories flooded back, bittersweet and hurtful. "No, it can't be," he murmured, realization crashing down around him like a tidal wave. His breath hitched in his throat. "Daddy, I have to let them in." The girl's plea sliced through his panic, laced with words he didn't want to hear. "What are you doing?" Linda screamed, her voice slicing through the tension. "Come away from there." But Dave was frozen, caught in a tempest of clamoring emotions. The shadows began to swirl outside, a mass of darkness coalescing into something he couldn't comprehend, something he had never wanted to confront again. With a sudden jerk of fate, the door crashed open wide, and the tempest surged forward, a wave of darkness that seemed to swallow all light. This is only the beginning, he thought, terror curling in his gut as he prepared for whatever came next. What had he unleashed? The room shattered into chaos. The darkness poured in like a living entity, filling the air with a stifling weight that pressed down on Dave's chest, making every breath feel like a labor. He could hardly see, the shadows twisting and churning, howling whispers caressing his ears like frigid fingers. "Get back!" he shouted, fumbling for the girl, but she had already stepped into the dark and disappeared into its depths. "Daddy," her voice floated back, ethereal and haunting, echoing as if it came from both everywhere and nowhere. Panic gripped him, sharp and suffocating. "Lila!" Linda shrieked, reaching for the spot where their child had just stood. "We have to get out. Now!" But as Dave turned to move, something cold slapped against his face. He stumbled, trying to wipe it away, only to have more tendrils of shadow coil around him, wrapping tighter. The dark felt alive, pulsating with a heartbeat of its own, as real as his own. "Stay away!" he yelled, fear roaring like an engine in his chest. The shadows thickened, and with them came a laughter, a sound so unnatural, it made the hair on his arms stand on end. He turned his gaze back to the window. The metallic scratches against wood were now morphed into something grotesque. He saw forms emerging through the haze, familiar shapes swaying in the darkness. Faces he recognized, twisted in expressions of anguish and mocking pity. His heart raced. How could they be here? "Please, you need to let them in." The girl's voice rippled through the air again, soft yet demanding, mingling with the echo of laughter. "No!" Dave shouted, feeling the heat of despair clawing at his throat. "They're not real, sweetie. They can't be." A gust of wind filled the room, conjuring images of his past memories wrapped in sorrow, moments that he had wished to bury alive. The shadows grew stronger in his mind, revealing everything he had tried to forget. "Look!" he screamed, desperation clawing at his voice. "This isn't what it seems. Lila, please." But behind the swirling veil, through the haze of swirling darkness, Lila stepped forward. Eyes wide and gleaming, she approached the beckoning figures, reaching toward them with small fingers outstretched. "Please, I have to. They know." The shadows pulsed around Lila, wrapping her in their icy embrace, and Dave's heart plummeted. "No, no, no!" He lunged forward, but the chill seized him, holding him back as he fought against an unseen force. "Everything you've hidden, it's time you face it, Dave." One of the figures whispered, familiar and menacing, a ghostly visage of someone he never thought he'd see again. "You can't run from your past." Linda cried out, the fight in her eyes fading as she realized the shadows were pulling Lila closer. "Dave! We can't just let them take her. This is my fault." He cried out, pain clawing through his chest like a knife. "I should have protected her." "But this is your chance," the shadow crowed, its voice dripping with malice. "To finally make a choice." Dave's throat tightened, words dying on his lips as fear clawed at him. He had made choices before, choices that haunted him still. Would he now stand by and let his child make a decision that could trap her in darkness forever? He took a step forward, his heart pounding louder than the laughter that echoed around him. "Lila, come back." He could barely hear himself over the chorus of whispers growing louder, more insistent. In that moment, amid the swirling chaos, he realized he had but one chance left. A chance to save his daughter, even if it meant stepping into the darkness himself. "What will you choose, Dave?" The shadows hissed, their chilling grip tightening as he felt the world around him warp. The moment loomed, dense with fear. Choices awaited. What choice would he make? The shadows were relentless, a living entity that clawed at Dave's mind and spirit. Each whisper grew sharper, each cruel laughter more piercing. Desperation surged through him. He had always felt like a protector, a shield for Lila. But now, he was chained by fear, his heart in knots. "Lila!" He shouted again, trying to pierce the veil of darkness. It was like screaming into a void, his words swallowed whole. The icy grips tightened around him, and he could barely move. Every muscle screamed for him to push forward, to reach his daughter. But would he risk condemnation from the darkness to save her? "Step forward," Daddy Lila's voice floated back, soft yet laced with something ominous. "You have to choose." Her small figure shimmered like a mirage, flickering between the past and the shadows surrounding her. It was as if she were caught in conflicting worlds, and he felt the pull of both. The faces around them were growing bolder, whispering secrets that wormed into his thoughts, feeding him memories too painful to recall. "Let her go. She is just a child." Linda cried, clawing at the shadows as they curled around her. The desperation in her voice mixed with the suffocating atmosphere made it hard for Dave to think clearly. Her anguish was palpable, but what could he do? The shadowy figure stepped closer, eyes glinting with manic delight. "You can't save her on the outside, Dave. The choice lies in the heart of the darkness. If you truly love her, you must embrace what you fear." "Embrace it?" He shot back, confusion battling his instincts. "You're using her. Just let her go. You have my past, but you don't own her." His voice cracked, intense anger coursing through him. Yet beneath the bravado, an icy dread began to settle deep within him, the realization that maybe, just maybe, they would take Lila regardless of what he chose. What if this is a way to save her? The figure whispered, cocking its head with creepy curiosity. "Isn't the darkness a part of who you are? You hide behind those walls you've built. Is that any way to live?" Pieces of his past flashed before his eyes, his failures, regrets, and moments weighed down by grief. He had fought through darkness before, but now it was his daughter at stake. "Lila, listen to me. You don't have to do this." His heart surged with maternal determination. "Come to me, sweetie. I'm here." The girl hesitated, her fingers still reaching toward the twisted silhouettes. "But they know the truth, Daddy. They show me things you never told me." Dave felt the world crumbling around him, the weight of her words burrowing deep within. "What do you mean?" he roared, fighting against the shadows. "I've done everything to protect you." "Everything?" The chilling laughter bounced off the walls, echoing through the chaos. "Or nothing?" When Lila took a small step backward, the shadows lunged forward, eager to reclaim their prize. An icy wave of despair washed over Dave. He couldn't lose her, not like this. "I'll do it!" he shouted, louder than the cacophony surrounding him. "I'll step into the darkness. Just let her go." Silence rippled through the room as the laughter ceased, an eerie stillness descending. He felt the eyes of the shadows on him, recognizing the weight of his words. "Are you truly ready, Dave?" The shadow crooned, the dark voices fading into a compassionate whisper. This choice, it may change everything. He felt his heart racing as fear morphed into something else, something potent. Hope mingled with dread, and he couldn't shake off the feeling that what lay ahead was far worse than he could ever imagine. "Are you ready to face your truth?" The question lingered in the air, dense with tension. The grip of shadows tugged at him, as if daring him to take the plunge into the unknown. What lay ahead would define him, his life and Lila's. Would he find salvation, or was this the end of all he'd ever known? In the darkness, the answers awaited. Which route awaited them in this treacherous choice? Dave's heart raced, and a knot twisted painfully in his chest. The darkness loomed, daring him to take a step forward. Lila's frightened eyes pierced through the void, pleading for him to understand. It was time for a decision, and there was no turning back. "Trust me," he shouted, desperation clawing at his throat. "I'll be right there with you. I promise." The shadows flickered, shifting and pulsating like a living creature, responding to the urgency in his voice. Lila's figure faded for a moment, and he felt the very walls around him tremble with anticipation. The moment felt electric, but there was a heaviness in the air, a warning. "Do you think this is just a game?" The shadow figure hissed, echoing through the silence with a voice that seemed to gnaw at his sanity. "You speak of trust, yet you barely know the truth of your own heart. What if the darkness reveals more than you bargained for?" Dave staggered. A bitter taste rose in his mouth. What truth? What would the shadows expose? The thought churned his stomach. Memories he'd buried came surging to the surface, a childhood marked by fear, a family torn apart by loss. Could Lila see it all? Did she know who he truly was? "Stop!" he shouted, his voice cracking. The mingling of shadows and memories threatened to overwhelm him. "I'm not afraid of the darkness. I just want my daughter." In that moment, he was struck by the sudden clarity of his will. He envisioned bright days shared with Lila, the laughter, the untarnished love. Would the darkness take that away from him? "I'll embrace the truth," he roared, spitting the words out before he could second-guess himself. "Just take me, not her." With that declaration, the shadows wove tighter around him, embracing his confession, swaddling him in the essence of his past. The icy fingers retreated from Lila, leaving her standing alone amid those swirling horrors. Her visage flickered as if she were caught between realms, hope and fear grappling for control in her tiny frame. "Daddy!" she cried, her voice trembling. "Are you sure?" A wrenching pain surged through Dave. "I'm sure. Just trust me. I'll find you." The shadow entity appeared interwoven in the tendrils of blackness swirling around him, its face shifting, distorting into forms he recognized, ghosts from his childhood, voices echoing regret, sorrow, and betrayal. "You cannot save her without confronting the reality that defined you. Are you ready? Ready?" He took a deep breath, resonating with the echo of the monsters of his past. "I was never ready. But I cannot let her fall into this. I will face whatever it is for her sake." With a shudder, a burst of light illuminated the shadows, a stark contrast to the oppressive darkness. The room trembled in a cacophony of emotions, ripping through him a reminder of every tear he never cried, every dream dashed against the rocks of despair. "Then step forward," the shadow boomed. Summoning every ounce of courage within him, Dave straightened his spine. "I will face the demons. Lila is worth any agony." The shadows pulled him forward, engulfing him completely. For a fleeting moment, the world around him dissolved into chaos, a whirlpool of images, sounds, and voices, all blurring into one. He felt himself falling, then, nothing silenced. A heartbeat sounded in his ears, followed by a stilted breath. The world slowly came back into focus, and he realized he was standing alone facing a darkened path branching off in two directions, and Lila's voice faintly echoed from far away. "Daddy!" Dave's heart seized in his chest. Where was she? What had he done? He glanced down, a tight knot forming anew as he noticed a small object glinting in the shadows. It was a necklace, Lila's favorite, a remnant of hope. Could it be a sign? Should he follow the light, or delve deeper into the darkness that whispered secrets of his past? Lila! He shouted, but the answer came only in silence. A decision loomed before him, the path twisted and uncertain. What lies ahead? Would he find his daughter, or were the shadows concealing something darker still? Dave's palms were clammy as he stood at the fork in the shadowy path. He clutched the necklace tightly, feeling its cool metal against his skin. Lila's voice echoed like a haunting melody, stretching across the darkened expanse. Daddy, his heart pounded each beat, an urgent call to action. I'm coming for you, he declared, but self-doubt burrowed deep. Did he even know where to go? The left path twisted into deeper darkness, while the right seemed to shimmer faintly, hinting at hope. Which way was right? He took a deep breath, pushing down the howl rising in his throat. Lila's fear had gripped him, and standing still, he could practically feel the shadows pressing in, eager to snare him with fear. Be brave for her, he muttered, straining to gather his resolve. Using every ounce of will, he stepped right toward the shimmering light. As he moved, the air grew heavier, thick with the bitterness of regret and sorrow. Each step echoed like a drum in his ears, drumming up memories of failure, conversations left unfinished, hugs not given. The glowing path turned cool and inviting, yet the darkness lurked at its edges, whispering temptations of despair. Suddenly, everything around him flickered. The air shifted, and images rushed by, snapshots of his past, fractured recollections swirling into chaos. Dave staggered, clutching his head, dizzy with the weight of his mistakes. No, not now! He yelled, shooting his arms in front of him as though he could fend off the ghosts clawing for his attention. A low rumble echoed nearby. You cannot run from your truth, Dave. The shadow voice slithered into his mind, curling around his fears, squeezing them until they burst into vivid, painful clarity. Shut up! He shouted, lips trembling. You don't know what I've faced. Do you? The darkness seemed to laugh, deep and mocking. What will your courage bring? Redemption or ruin? Dave felt the walls of the labyrinth shifting, the path dimming as doubt weighed him down. He had never forgiven himself for the choices that led to Lila's absence from his life, and admitting those truths felt like opening a wound. But the thought of her cowering in the shadows lit a fire within him. I won't let you take her! He roared defiantly. With renewed determination, he pressed forward. The shimmering light became brighter, revealing familiar sights: a children's playground, and then Lila, sitting on a swing, her little legs dangling, the expression on her face a mix of fear and hope. Daddy! She cried, the little spark in her eyes an anchor in his storm. He raced to her, feeling the rhythmic thud of his heart synchronize with the pounding in his ears. But before he could reach her, the swing slowed, the shadows stretching over her like hungry hands. Stay back! Dave screamed, thrusting his arm forward as if that alone could shield her. Suddenly, the ground beneath him shook violently. No! He shouted. Lila was slipping, swinging out of reach. The darkness slithered closer, intertwining with memories of love, igniting emotions he had shielded himself from for so long. Lila! Hang on! Daddy, I'm scared! Her eyes widened, and the plea tore through him, each cry echoing with the fragility of a life held in the balance. As he lunged forward, the shadows surged, pulling him back, whispering regrets and losses. The moments stretched, dragging each heartbeat into eternity. The weight on his chest threatened to collapse him, pressing the truth stifling inside him to the surface. Face it! The shadows yelled, and suddenly, he knew. Dave's breath hitched. He couldn't bargain with fear, he had to confront it. He had to confront himself. Stop fighting me! He shouted into the darkness. I choose to love. To fight. I won't let you take my daughter. The shadows seethed, their whispers turning frantic, swarming around him like a storm. And then, in a twist of fate, the very fabric of the darkness began to tear, revealing beams of brilliant light. But as the shadows recoiled, something unexpected happened. The flickering light also illuminated a corner of his past that he'd never faced. What is that? He murmured to himself, eyes wide with recognition and dread. From the very depths of his memory, a figure stepped forward, its features shrouded in shadow. This could change everything, for better or worse. With Lila's terrified gaze locked on him, uncertainty loomed. What awaited him at the heart of his past? "Daddy," she whispered again, and this time, the urgency in her voice resonated like a death knell. "Stay here," he ordered, bracing himself for what might unfold. "I'll find you." The shadow shrieked as he stepped toward the terrifying presence, knowing that whatever lay ahead might not only determine Lila's fate but his own salvation. What hidden truth from his past awaited him in these fleeting shadows as he reached for revelation? The figure in the shadows shifted, the anguish in its stance palpable. It had a familiar essence, something that set off alarm bells in Dave's mind. The darkness deepened around him, almost suffocating, as memories clawed at his consciousness, fighting to surface. Was this what he had avoided for so long? "Who are you?" he breathed, voice trembling between fear and revelation. A faint flicker of light glinted off the figure's features, and suddenly, he recognized the worn eyes' deep pools of sorrow. "It's me, Dave." The voice was a whispering echo of a past he'd buried. It sent chills racing down his spine. "Sarah?" The name tasted bitter on his lips. She was his wife, a specter of mistakes made and promises broken. The weight of their history bore down on him, sharper than any blade. You're here?" he stammered, fighting against the swell of emotion that threatened to break his resolve. "Here in the darkness, as you are," Sarah replied, her form flickering like a dying flame. "You have to understand, Dave. You can't save her if you don't save yourself first. Stop. You don't know anything," he shouted, the shadows tightening around him, feeding off his dread. "I've done everything to get here. I'm not afraid of you." "Really?" Her voice was laced with doubt, hollow and echoing. "What about the times you let fear control you? What about Lila's birthday that you missed because you couldn't face me?" Each question pierced him with painful clarity. "You have to face the truth, or she'll remain lost." The ground shifted beneath him, and memories surged. A birthday cake half made, a promise never fulfilled. Dave closed his eyes, head spinning. "I won't let you manipulate me. I'm not that man anymore." "Then prove it. Fight for her." The shadows swirled around them, growing restless, hungry for the confrontation simmering between them. Lila's voice shrieked in his mind, blending with Sarah's haunting reminders. Desperation clawed at him, tightening like a noose. "I am fighting. I'm here, aren't I?" he cried out, reaching past the shadows, his fingers stretching towards Lila's distant form. "Then stop hiding." The darkness erupted around him, swirling in a tempest of screams and cries as memories of Sarah's laughter transformed into anguished wails. "Face what you fear most." Suddenly, the shadows dissipated, revealing a dilapidated room shimmering with ghostly light. An old photograph flickered into existence. Dave, Sarah, and a little girl smiling brightly, eyes sparkling with innocence. The image shattered into fragments like glass, cascading into darkness. He gasped, the shards embedding themselves in his heart. "Look closely. You chose to let go," Sarah's voice cracked, filled with sorrow. "You can't run away from the truth forever. You abandoned the love once shared, and it cost you everything." With a deep resolve, he gritted his teeth. "I didn't abandon Lila." His voice boomed through the shadows, shaking the very fabric of his fear. But deep down, he felt the truth, guilt gnawed at his insides. Lila's voice echoed again, desperate and frightened. "Daddy, please." "No!" Dave roared. "I refuse to let you take her. I'll confront every truth, every mistake. I will not chain myself to the past." The moment hung thick in the air, electric and charged with potential. The shadows twisted and roared in protest, but the light was growing. It pulsed with the energy of something vast awakening. "Then go," Sarah whispered. "Go and find her. Fight for the love you thought was lost." The shadows roared back, surging toward him like a tidal wave, determined to drag him down. But he stood firm, heart racing as he plunged toward the flickering light. "Lila!" He shouted through the chaos, desperate to break free of the past's suffocating grip. "I'm coming." Just as he lunged forward, something stopped him. A jagged edge of memory pierced his chest, pulling him back momentarily. What if Lila isn't just a victim? What if she holds the key? The thought echoed louder than the shadows around him, worming into his mind. Uncertain yet hopeful, he pushed forward, but the shadows howled in protest as they fought to consume his every thought. What had Lila truly seen or done in this realm? What strength waited beyond the flickering light? With every ounce of his soul, Dave charged ahead, prepared to uncover the eerie truth of his daughter and the depths of his own redemption. The light enveloped Dave, blinding him for a heartbeat. A painful pulse throbbed in his chest as fear wrestled with purpose. He plunged into the unknown, and now he was spiraling towards a truth he hadn't anticipated. The darkness shrieked behind him, but the light beckoned like a lighthouse in the storm. He stumbled into a surreal landscape, one painted in hues of nightmares and hope. Everything shifted. A chilling wind rustled through the air, carrying whispers that surrounded him, pulling at his heart. The ground beneath him felt alive, breathing in rhythm with his heavy breaths. "Lila?" he called out, his voice weaving through the shadows. Silence answered back for a moment, then a flicker in the distance. Someone was there. As he moved forward, the air thickened around him. He could barely see, but he felt her presence, warm and familiar despite the gloom. "Daddy!" The sweet urgency in her voice lit a fire within him, driving him onward. "Help me!" His heart raced, each beat echoing Lila's fear. "I'm coming!" He pushed past the cloying shadows, their cold fingers clawing at him, slowing him down. With each step, fragments of Lila's laughter seemed to weave through the oppressive darkness, fragments that could easily unravel the heavy gloom. He dared to hope as flashes of her innocent smile danced behind his eyelids, urging him on. Suddenly, he found himself in a small clearing, surrounded by towering shadows that twisted unnaturally. In the center, Lila stood, her small figure radiating a warmth that staved off the chill. "Daddy, please. You need to open your eyes." "Open my eyes?" he echoed, desperately grasping for comprehension amid the chaos. "What does that mean?" But as he stepped in closer, the shadows grew restless, swirling like a tempest around Lila. They coiled and writhed, as if they were junkies craving the light they feared. "Dad!" Lila cried again, her voice filled with terror that wound tight around his chest. "You have to choose." "Choose?" His mind grappled with the implications. "Choose what?" "Choose between the darkness and the light." Lila's voice broke, the weight of her words crashing down upon him like a tidal wave. "You're the one who has to unlock it. You have to face your fears to save us." The ground shook, sending tremors through his legs. Panic surged within him. "What if I can't? What if I'm too late? Listen to me." Her eyes shone with fierce determination, matching the little warrior he remembered. "You can do this. I believe in you." As her words echoed in his mind, shadows lunged at him, roaring with rage. The urgency flooded his veins. Lila alone had been the one to fight, to try their best to survive. But how much had he let her down, even in this realm? "Lila!" he yelled, steering directly into the heart of the storm that threatened to consume him whole. "If I'm lost, it's because I've let go. I can't let you suffer, not again." The shadows seethed, their monstrous faces shifting in a haunting dance, taunting him with memories of guilt and regret. Each ghostly whisper reached into his core, shoving him toward doubt. But Lila's unwavering gaze lit the path through the chaos. His heart swelled, a mixture of sorrow and determination. "I won't abandon you like I did before. I refuse to let this darkness win." The temperature dropped suddenly, and he felt a piercing chill that ran through his bones. The shadows recoiled, sensing the shift in his resolve. They pulled back, hissing like wounded animals, reluctant to release their grip on the fear that bound him. Just as the light began to break through, a chilling realization struck him. "Lila, what have you done? What is the key to this nightmare?" Her expression faltered, her small brow knitting with concern. "It's more than just you finding me, Dad. It's about remembering who you are, what you've lost, and taking a leap of faith. Before he could respond, the ground shuddered violently beneath him, signaling something ominous. The shadows surged back, emboldened and formidable. Dave's breath caught in his throat as he felt the enormity of the battle before him. Will I lose? You again, he thought, heart racing with dread. The shadows roared, ready to consume them both. Had Lila truly kept a secret? And if so, what perilous truth awaited him in the darkness? Fight, Dad! She urged, and with that, an unseen door began to crack open, a light piercing through the chaos, flickering like a heartbeat. But within the rapidly closing shadows, something deeper still lurked, sinister and powerful. What awaited him on the other side of this threshold? Could it truly be the salvation they both needed, or were they stepping off the edge into a void? The pulse quickened as Dave prepared to leap, no turning back now. Dave surged through the shadows, propelled by Lila's voice and the flickering light that clawed at the darkness. He could see the doorway widening, golden rays bursting through like fireworks, desperate to break free. But the shadows weren't done with him. They scrambled against him, a wall of dark smoke and claws that yanked at his resolve. Stay with me, Lila. He fought against their grasp, each step forward a battle against the past that haunted him, each breath pushed back against the suffocating despair. The shadows screeched like banshees, their whispers slicing through his thoughts, dredging up guilt and fear, trying to drown out Lila's voice. Don't listen to them. You can do this. She cried, and in her urgency, he glimpsed the little girl he'd once lifted on his shoulders, her laughter echoing like a bomb against the encroaching night. The threshold loomed ahead, sheer and demanding. Just a little further, he urged, swinging his arm to clear a path, but the shadows coiled tighter, their horrible faces grimacing in triumph. What do you want? He yelled into the tempest. You can't take her. A cacophony of voices rose from the depths of the shadows, disembodied, cruel, each carrying pieces of his past. You failed her once, one jeered, its icy tone chilling the air. You're a coward. No! He shouted back, his voice an anchor against the chaos. I can be better. I can't let you take her. Suddenly, an eerie silence blanketed the space. The shadows paused, as if contemplating his words. Dave seized the moment. I choose her. I choose the light. With that declaration, the light brightened, and he felt warmth wrapping around him like a shield. He took a step forward, then another, gritty resolve hardening in his chest. The shadows hissed, their faces twisting in agony, retreating at his advance. Daddy! Lila called, her voice a sweet melody cutting through the despair. Please. He lunged, arms outstretched, and as he crossed the threshold, a rush of energy surged through him. The shadows shrieked, a final battle cry echoing in the air as the light enveloped them both. The weight lifted as he eclipsed into the brightness, feeling the coldness of despair recede like a tide. The moment his body fully crossed into the light, everything transformed. They stood together in a brilliant meadow, endless and warm, colors saturating the landscape like paint on canvas, a stark contrast to the darkness they'd just escaped. A gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers, grounding them. What just happened? He breathed, his eyes wide as he looked at Lila, still glowing with the energy of their triumph. You faced them, Dad, she said, a smile breaking through the remnants of fear. You opened your heart. But it's not over yet. His heart began to race again. What do you mean? The fear is still there lurking. They won't stop until they truly take what they want, she warned, the serenity of their surroundings wavering. But I know how to keep them away. We can walk in the light together, but you must believe in yourself. The ground shuddered beneath their feet, and a dark cloud gathered at the edge of the meadow. He felt an overwhelming sense of dread return as he glanced back toward the incoming tide of shadows, now reforming and swirling. Lila, we can't let them back in. Panic flooded him. What do we do? She gripped his hand tightly, her small frame sturdy and defiant. We stand together. You have to remember your strength, Dad. All the love you have, hold on to it. But he could already feel the darkness creeping, clawing. The shadows advanced, hiding frantically among the vibrant colors, seeking cracks in their union. Trust me, she said, her eyes unwavering, filled with the light he thought lost to him. This time, we won. Let them win.
The shadows coiled closer, fueled by his uncertainty and fear.
Desperation crushed him as he fought to reassure himself. "Together," he whispered. "Together, we can do this." But as they braced for the coming storm, the realization struck him: would love really be enough to face what was rising? And as the first dark tendril reached for Lila, shifting form as if the very ground beneath him was betraying them, he didn't know if enough healing had taken place or if the darkness was about to plunge them back into despair. "Dad, fight!" she urged, her resolve like a beacon among the shadows. But could he truly confront the darkness within himself, and protect Lila once and for all? Time was running out. As the shadows curled around the edges of the meadow, creeping closer like storm clouds threatening to engulf the sun, Dave felt the tremors of impending chaos beneath his feet. He tightened his grip on Lila's hand, her warmth anchoring him as the wind threatened to whip them apart. The darkness loomed, whispering doubts in his ear like 1,000 defeated voices. But heads held high, Lila was his light, the fierce embodiment of hope. "Courage," he whispered, more to himself than to her, feeling the power of those words surging through his veins. "I choose to fight." The tendrils of darkness thrashed forward, snaking around them, their icy clutches grasping at his heart. "You can't protect her," they hissed, the voices eerily harmonious in their torment. "You always run when the truth emerges." "No!" he roared back, bolstered by Lila's determined face. "I won't run. I'm not the man I was. I'm better because of her." As if the very universe paused to listen, a bright light shot from their entwined hands, piercing through the shadows like a lance through fog. The darkness recoiled with a desperate wail, its hiss reverberating through the air. He felt it, the connection between father and daughter, unbreakable and fierce. This love shield would hold them up against anything, even the most relentless of fears. "Stay close, Lila. We will face this together," he declared, every ounce of his being radiating strength. Lila nodded, confidence glowing in her big, brown eyes, igniting a fire in him that had long been extinguished. As the shadows surged again, this time faster and more vicious, Dave and Lila stepped forward, staying united. The darkness lashed out like a frenzied animal, its whispers turning sharper, more isolating. "You will fail. You're a coward. You're unworthy." With each word spat from the abyss, Dave felt the weight of all his past failures and regrets, but he refused to let them anchor him. "No." He shook his head, memories of Lila's laughter, joyful afternoons, and soft arms hugging him tightly, the inkling that he had been enough, even when he doubted. "I love my daughter. I love Lila. And that makes me stronger than you." The darkness wavered, hesitating, as if taken aback by the intensity of his proclamation. "You think that love can shield you? It consumed you before. It brought you despair. Love doesn't just bind us to pain. It is the strength to rise against it." Dave felt his heart pounding in his ears as he drew closer to the swirling shadows. It was now or never. "I lost so much, but I won't lose you." With one powerful tug, he pulled Lila closer, both of them standing firm as the shadows loomed like a tide ready to crash over them. Drawing upon every bit of love and warmth in his heart, the bond they had forged between them, he surged forward, a resolute warrior. "You will not devour our light." The arena lit up, golden beams bursting forth from where their hands met, radiating brightness that rivaled a supernova. It flooded their surroundings, consuming the darkness, scattering it like scattered ashes. He felt Lila's essence merge with his, amplifying their power until the shrieks of the shadows reverberated, losing substance. They shrieked and twisted, receding into resentful whispers, unable to withstand the force of their combined love. As the light enveloped them, Dave felt his doubts fade. He had faced the past and embraced the truth shrouded in shadows. He had battled inner demons and emerged whole. The light began to surround and cradle Lila, showers of pure energy sparkling around their bodies, illuminating the dark spaces where fear once lingered. "Daddy!" Lila beamed, her smile breaking through the chaos, illuminating the very air between them. "You did it! We did it!" Dave knelt down, pulling her into a tight embrace, the warmth of her tiny body a soothing balm against everything they had just fought. Tears fell freely, a release of every fear that should have suffocated him. "Together," he said, his voice thick with emotion.
Together, we'll face anything from here on out. I promise.
As the vibrancy of their meadow surged. With renewed light, they watched as the remnants of darkness melted, lifting into the sky as vapor, vaporizing their fears. A sense of peace settled over them, a deep, anchored relief that wrapped around their hearts. They were safe together, and as the sun began to rise in this place of hope, Dave realized they had stepped into a new chapter of their lives. Although there may still be shadows lurking, they had each other, bound by love that far outweighed the chaos. An unyielding power flowed between them, a reminder that no matter how dark the night, love would always be the light to guide their way. "Now, let us go home," he whispered, eyes gleaming with gratitude. Lila beamed up at him, her faith shining bright. Together, they turned towards the horizon where dawn unfurled with the promise of a new day, a future painted with the colors of love and unwavering strength. And in that moment, they understood their story hadn't ended, it was only just beginning. Remember, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive story. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let us grow this amazing community together. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. We want to hear how this journey touched you. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this gripping conclusion.